B minor.
Who's ready to learn some variations of the B minor chord? I'll be giving you two different ways you can play the regular B minor chord, just in case you're struggling with the bar chords, because I know that can be challenging at first. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first way you can play a B minor chord is by taking your first finger, place it on the second fret, starting from the A string down. You want to bar that whole second fret, everything except for your sixth string. You're going to keep that muted for this chord. So then you'll take your third finger, place it on the fourth fret on your D string, then take your pinky, place that on the fourth fret on the G string, and then take your middle finger or your second finger and place that on the third fret on your B string. So altogether, the notes for a B minor chord, we have B with our first finger on the second fret on the A string. We have our third finger on the fourth fret on the D string. That note would be F sharp. Then we have B with our pinky. Then we have D with our second finger or middle finger. And then we have F sharp on the high E string with the bar. So altogether we have the B minor chord. Alright, so another way you can play the B minor chord is by taking your first finger, place it on the third fret on your B string, then take your third finger, place it on the fourth fret on your G string, then take your middle finger or your second finger, place it on the fourth fret on your D string, then take your pinky and place that on the fifth fret on your A string. So altogether, the notes for this chord, starting with your pinky, is D, F sharp, B, D, and your E string will remain muted for this chord. So you'll have your sixth and your first string muted. So then altogether, we have the B minor chord. Alright, so for the first variation of the B minor chord, what we'll be looking at is a B minor add 9. And you can play a B minor add 9 by taking your first finger, barring it across your second and your first string on the second fret. So your B and your high E string on the second fret. And then you'll take your third finger and place that on the fourth fret on the G string. And you'll play your open D string for this chord. Your sixth and your fifth strings will remain muted. So the notes for this chord, starting with your third finger, you have B, then you have C sharp and F sharp, and of course your open D string. So altogether we have the B minor add 9. Alright, so our next variation of the B minor chord, we have the B minor flat 6. And you can play a B minor flat 6 by taking your first finger, place it on the second fret on your A string, which is your B, and then take your second finger and place that on the first string on your second fret. So you have your first finger on the second fret on your A string, and you have your second finger on the second fret on the first string, your high E string. And then your D, G, and B strings will all be open. Your sixth string will remain muted for this chord. So altogether we have the B minor flat 6. Alright, so our next variation we'll be looking at is a B minor 7 chord. And this is actually pretty similar to our B minor flat 6. All you have to do to play a B minor 7, take off your middle finger or your second finger, place that on the G string on the second fret this time, and then take your third finger and place that on the second fret on your first string or your high E string. Your D string and your B string will be the only open strings in this chord. Your sixth string will remain muted. So the notes for this chord, starting with your first finger on your A string, you have B, open D, A with your second finger, your open B string, and then F sharp with your third finger. So altogether we have our B minor 7 chord. Alright, our fourth variation we'll be looking at is a B minor 11th. And you can play a B minor 11th taking your first finger, place it on the second fret on your A string. So you start with your B, and then you'll take your second finger, place that on the second fret on your G string, and then take your third finger and place it on the second fret on your B string. Your D and your fourth string and your first string are the only open strings in this. So your D and your high E string. Your sixth string will remain muted. So altogether, the notes for the B minor 11th chord we have, starting with our first finger, we have B, our open D, A with our second finger, C sharp with our third finger, and then we have our open high E string. So altogether, we have the B minor 11th chord. Alright, our last variation of the B minor chord we'll be looking at is a B minor 13th. And this is actually pretty similar to the B minor chord as well. So if you take your regular B minor chord, and then in order to play a B minor 13th, all you have to do is take your third finger, or your fourth finger, your pinky, and drop that down to the first string on the fourth fret. So instead of playing your G string on the fourth fret, you'll take your pinky and place it on the first string on the fourth fret. Everything else will remain the same. So the notes for this chord now, you have your B, starting with your first finger on the second fret on the A string. Then you have your F sharp with your third finger on the fourth fret on the D string. You have D with your middle finger on the third fret. And then you have G sharp with your fourth finger or your pinky on the fourth fret. So altogether, we have our B minor 13th chord. Well, those are all the B minor variations for this lesson. If you found these chords helpful, smash that like and subscribe button for more tips, tricks, and techniques on the guitar. You can find PR Guitar Instruction by clicking the links in the description below. And thanks for tuning in, everyone!